Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, who's got the speech? You got the speech and you got the... Hello. You guys had a chance to have a little lunch? No? Have a little lunch? No? It's good? Kosher food. We got barbecue tonight. We do have a snack planned, so pace yourself accordingly. You know, we want to make sure nobody's hungry. Nobody leaves intellectually unfulfilled, untweeted, unupdated. So this is a really special panel to me. This is the journalism panel. And if you want to know one thing about me, maybe you don't, but I'll tell you anyway. I'm a journalist. And it's like my job is to shine light in dark places, comfort the afflicted, and afflict the comfortable. If I can do that, it's a pretty good day. If I can give you some information that makes your life a little better, even a better day. But at this, a lot of things are happening in journalism. We're in a lot of change. Last 16 years, I've been a digital journalist, which means I've practiced my craft online, had to learn a lot of new tools, have to constantly keep learning, and I kind of like that environment. People look at me and think, oh, he's a print guy. Well, no, I'm not. I'm a journalist, and I can do my journalism in any shape, way, form, or fashion, and I'll invent new ones if I can't like the old ones. So we have two of Long Island's leading information, journalism, knowledge providers here to share a little bit with you. They're going to do a little back and forth first. So David Reichhale with Patch, brand new. How many of you guys check in with Patch, look and see the content? That ain't bad penetration for, what, about a year? All right, shout out to Patch. And so David, we'll talk first. I'm live streaming it. I know that it's successfully streaming. If you go to my Twitter stream, Crochmal on Twitter, Krochmal, you might be able to get the link. I haven't been able to send it from the console, but it's up there and it's recording, so it'll be available. So why don't you start, David, with your remarks, and I'll come back.
Thanks. So last Tuesday was a watershed moment for Patch.com's social media efforts. It was sort of perfect timing, knowing that I was going to be here today. On the night Long Islanders voted on school budgets, our network of 44 Long Island-based Twitter accounts broke results, not necessarily on Patch.com, but on Twitter. We would quickly update our websites as well, but the point is this. People looking for election news were not all hopping from website to website to website, whether it was ours or websites of other news organizations in the area. Many folks were, however, on Twitter. It is our job to be where the people are, to deliver the news, to make sure that what we report gets in front of all of you. And if you're on Twitter, great, so are we. If you're on Facebook, so are we. And if you're on our website, great, we'll take the unique visit, but we obviously deliver the news as well on Patch.com. But last Tuesday was, in large part, about our social media efforts, and specifically Twitter. Our coverage was so active, and the response from the community played a big part of this, and that's many of you, that our LI Vote hashtag began trending on Twitter in New York. And I have the screenshots to prove it. We were trumped by only a few things. One was all I want is. I'll let that one go. And also out-trending us was Tyler Seguin. I had to look this up. He's a star in the Boston Bruins who was playing a playoff game against the Tampa Bay Lightning that night. We were, however, 2 spots ahead of Stevie Nicks. So I'm not sure what any of that means, but somewhere between Boston Bruins hockey and Stevie Nicks, that's where Patch.com was at the moment. Now, last Tuesday, we also validated a big piece of our multi-layered strategy. We have our hyperlocal Twitter accounts, so if you live in Port Jefferson, there is Port Jeff Patch. We have an account for them. If you're in Mineola, there's the Mineola Patch account, and so on, for all 41 of our sites. But if you're interested in county-wide stories, we recently launched Nassau Patch, and about a week ago began using at Suffolk Patch. That's just launched. And for anyone interested in all sorts of Long Island stories, we can deliver wide regional news to you as well through the Long Island Patch account. With our school election coverage, we made sure to tweet detailed information from our hyperlocal Twitter accounts, all while taking the wide view from Long Island Patch, where each time a budget passed anywhere, we would let the readers know and then would send them to the local Twitter account if they wanted more information. That night, Twitter also became our chief marketing component. really at no cost. Some people stumbled into our aggressive stream of tweets and learned about Patch for the very first time, and to them I welcome them. Others knew who we were, but have never spent a lot of time conversing with us. Now on election night, there they were, going back and forth with journalists reporting news in real time. It was pretty cool. I had readers reaching out to me via @replies and DMs asking for school election results in towns we don't currently cover. If we had sources, we would make a phone call or two, get the results, and we'd get it to them. We were working directly for the Twitter follower. These were markets we didn't cover, but they thought that we might know, and we're the experts, so we went and got it. So to wrap up, social media, and specifically Twitter, has given us a vehicle to deliver news to all of you. It's also given us the ability to package news to you in various ways, whether it be our key hyperlocal content or regionally. And it allows all of you, the readers, to easily correspond with us and tell us what you think and what you're looking for. Thanks.
Now, so, I don't know how this is going to work, but it looks, oh, good, tape. I love being, so then I can't do it. All right, as long as we got a stream being recorded, that's great. Are you okay? Sound level fine? All right, so we live on the microphone, and I will project, use the diaphragm, and speak to the back row. The Shakespearean. David Kirshner, News 12. Do you get rebuttal or?
No rebuttal.
Why don't you tell us come on up here and tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what social media means to your kind of journalism.
As long as you don't ask for a show of hands of who watches News 12, if those hands are less than who watches Patch, then I'm clearly in. No, let's not, because I'm not sure I want to hear the answer. But everyone does know about News 12.
How many of you guys know the News 12 brand?
Yes.
Love it. Respect the News 12 brand. Trust the News 12 brand. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And how much love the News 12 brand. So, thank you and welcome. I appreciate the fact that you've welcomed me to speak at the conference. Actually, in our world, I don't know if it would be the 140 conference. It would probably be the 186 conference. The only person who would probably get that is my old executive producer, Ethan, who's over there. 186 characters was our character limit on entering comments onto the info bar for News 12. Right, Ethan? As you're aware, News 12 has 7 News 12s. We're not just News 12 Long Island. We're all over the tri-state area. Wherever there is a cablevision system, you will find a News 12, whether it's New Jersey, Connecticut, the Bronx, Westchester, Hudson Valley. We're all over the place. And my group, which is News 12 Interactive, does several things outside of doing the web and doing the mobile. On the bottom of the TV screen, we have what's called the info bar. Most people, whether it's Fox or CNN, kind of have like the running zipper. And if you notice, you can kind of like go rambling on and on if you ever decide to read what's there. But in News 12, we sort of took a different approach, which is we would just flip individual elements, and those elements had to fit into 186 characters. So we've probably spent like the last 10 years had to take any succinct thought and being able to compress it down to that number. Now, of course, we got to compress it down a little bit lower to 140 characters, but that's a different story. Of course, I got to get my notes up on the iPad, or else I'll be, absolutely lost. In addition to what we do on the info bar, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the other projects and how that kind of drives us into a local market. You're used to, incredible reporting, on-the-scene stuff, getting live remotes back, and all the stuff that News 12 is known for, getting the chopper and all that stuff, which is great. Our purpose is to take all that stuff and put it up on all the multiple platforms. But as of the last 6 months, my group has actually embarked on a new venture. We've launched a new product in Spanish, News 12 in Espanol, which is available in the Bronx, and it's available in New Jersey. And you can actually get to it both on Channel 612 on I.O. and through the web. The reason why it's important is as we start to go local and as we start to go hyper-local, you also find out that your demographics are starting to break up. So at the same time that you're finding your platforms are breaking, and clearly the big screen is now being replaced by this screen and all sorts of other screens, how do we reach new and new markets? How do we take better advantage of the technology that's now available to reach new markets? So sort of like in the old traditional world of doing a broadcast, you get dozens and dozens of people motivated. You get information coming from all the sources, whether it's from our traffic and weather department, whether it's from the news, the people in the field, and we put together a newscast, and it's like lights, camera, action, and there you go. It's the 5 o'clock show, and you think people are all sitting down and watching. Not so much anymore, but that's how the traditional news organizations are put together. But now with technology, I have a group of 4 people, 2 reporters and 2 producers, who basically cover the Spanish community in New Jersey and in the Bronx, and we work with a device called a TriCaster, which is sort of a studio-in-the-box type of thing, which is $30,000 and less, which sounds like a lot of money, but in capital broadcast terms, it's really not. And we produce a show behind a green screen. We do all of the effects. We do the dissolves and graphics, and pretty much 90% of all the elements that you would see in a broadcast show, we're now doing with this really skeletal crew. And immediately after that show is done, we're able to get it up on all the platforms, and we're able to reach a new market, clearly a very large, growing, important market, the Hispanic market, with smaller resources and kind of break up the pie. So I think that kind of speaks to sort of where we're going on hyper-local. At the end of the day, our tagline is as local news gets, and we fit into that model. We clearly may not go as local as Patch does into the communities with a lot of small details, but we're kind of hovering like the chopper up on top, and if something is big enough and it boils up, we're going to cover it. Just to take one last turn, as we talk about the web and as we get into the world of social media and Twitter, this is obviously a big growing element for us. We're diving headfirst. We'll see exactly where we end up. Clearly, Facebook is a big item. We right now have 144 individual Facebook sites that have been set up for various News 12 ventures, whether it's for Anchors Reporters, special projects, and we generate more activity or more, I forgot the term that Facebook uses, but their sort of viral nature of connecting with people. We do more activity through Facebook at times than we do through the website. So, Facebook is becoming sort of this big thing. We need to make sure that we use it in conjunction with what we do on the web, but more importantly, what we do on air. And that's where we're getting into that next realm. So at the end of the day, we can get thousands of comments. We can get a whole community kind of buzzed up about what's going on. And whether it's, it's on your iPad or whether it's on your mobile device, you're going to get it. But by and large, the majority of people, and sort of excluding people here, because I think you're early adopters, they're still watching the news on a large screen TV, and those numbers, at night, and those numbers are just growing. It's not really diminishing. Now, they may have an iPad on their lap, or they may be using the new widgets that are coming with your TV set, but they're by and large watching TV. So how do we take the social media elements that we're getting, whether it's from Facebook or Twitter, and start to incorporate it into broadcast? And that's sort of the next area that we're going into, and to kind of come full circle. So our approach is a little bit different. It's broadcast, and then after that we kind of break it down to the web and to social media. But in the end of the day, it's all about connecting people to their community and making sure that we have the right platform to connect them to. And as long as it's brought to them by News 12, the trusted brand on Long Island, as well as with our trusted advertisers, then it's all worthwhile. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And he said he didn't have anything really he was going to share. I never knew a newsman who couldn't fill up a column on deadline.
You give me time, I speak.
Thank you. Thank you both. So I think this is the opportunity for Long Island folks to talk to 2 major representatives of organizations that are looking out, want to hear your opinion. How many of you guys have ever reached out to a news organization using social media? Do you think they care or don't care? Don't care. All right, yeah, while you're here, we have another organization here. Would you stand up and introduce yourself, where you're from?
Just briefly, I'm Mike Conforti. I'm with the Long Island Press.
Do we have anybody else with that? Kitchen is here. She's been busy all morning. She's now putting her story, figuring out what her story is. And it really doesn't happen until you sit down and all of a sudden the crucible comes on and you say, oh, how am I going to write? What's the lead? What's important? What does everybody care about? And then you do it. I think she's been tweeting too, has she? Nope? Okay. That's what we do. So you guys have questions for him? Really?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's make it really quick so we can get a lot of questions done. Like a tweet quick. Stand up.
Okay.
Who are you? Your handle.
Lovely Lou.
Lovely Lou.
What's been the most difficult thing converting from on air to social media? Because I think like 144 Facebook pages, maybe a bit excessive.
Yeah, well, again, keep in mind that's over 7 regions, and so it is, but every anchor reporter or weather person has basically a site. I think the real challenge that we have right now is really bridging the gap between what people are saying versus what we have on air. So, you know, in a perfect world, you know, you could have comments running side by side, you know, during the debate. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. It depends on what the subject is. It depends on how it's used, and whether or not it gives, you know, equal representation to all different points of view. So just kind of taking the fact that you have this very vibrant social media and sort of mashing it, you know, or smashing it with broadcast, you may not get the desired result. So we kind of have to walk through that process together with the audience to find that right formula that will give a good fair and balanced representation.
You guys have you integrated bloggers, the new bloggers who are going to contribute on a community level?
Yeah, we've just started to put them in the patch.com, on the patch.com website.
It was
So-
like 2 weeks ago was
Yeah.
the announcement that Patch is going to integrate local bloggers.
I think it was May 4th, I want to say. It was just a couple of weeks ago. Part of our website now is dedicated to having people in the community blog for us.
I will make a point that not paying.
No, they're not.
Not paying. So it's a platform just like Huffington Post has done. People can access the platform, but don't expect anything but a pat on the behind and saying attaboy, attagirl. No cash. So if you're a professional journalist, that may not be the way to go, I would think.
Yeah, well, I mean, those are not news stories. That's an opportunity for people in the community, again, to talk about their little leagues or to participate in however they want. We're giving them a platform no different than
The
anything
platform
else. Yeah.
might give you a little bit more of a potential. I don't like to use the word audience because the word audience is dead. It's not. It's a conversation. Others may argue with me, but if we don't, as journalists, engage you and understand that you're part of the story, it's the end of the game, I think. It's not the fool on the hill anymore.
Well, we tried to do that in the coverage I was talking about before. It was, as we were reporting the news, instead of just responding to, there was somebody from Bethpage, somebody from Jericho, somebody from Deer Park and North Babylon, all 4 of those places, I could have easily responded, sorry, we don't cover those communities, and moved on.
Yay, thank
But
you.
that's not what we did.
Awesome.
Better, now everybody can hear me, good. I was making sense, I
Let's see if we can get a couple more. We all got questions now that we got this. Let's do real rapid fire answers and questions back. Did I cut you off while I go find somebody else? Who's got another question?
I'll ask a question.
Okay.
The whole news business has changed tremendously in the last year or two, right? And it's got to be traumatic for everyone in media. Go forward 18, 24 months. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, it's yours.
I can make up something.
Yeah, exactly. That's easy.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't think it hasn't been traumatic for me. I mean, I grew up in the world of newspapers.
Okay.
I was a sports reporter and then a business reporter, political work, all of that stuff, but it's still, and I think Mo touched on this, I'm a journalist.
Right.
If you tell me that we're no longer, I personally am no longer going to be writing stories for length 16 inches in a newspaper, but now I'm doing it for a website, and we're given all these extra tools to get our message out and to correspond with our reader. That's not traumatic, that's awesome. And for me, and for you, that means we can connect. You used to send a letter to the editor, or a fax, which I would never look at faxes, they'd be rolled up on the corner. Now I would get a letter to the editor, I would open it, I'd take a look, and maybe we'd run it, maybe we wouldn't, based on the small amount of space that we had. Now, it's constant. I think that's great. So I don't find it to be.
Think about teaching this stuff. How do you? I kind of like it. I try to look ahead. I call it azimuth, like in artillery, aiming for what it might look like 2 years out there. We're moving along fast. There's a lot coming, and it's just amazing what mobile and social is going to live in that. For journalism, social has been described as the ocean in which journalism swims. So we have to learn how to swim. And then mobile's coming along. And if you're not a journalist, if you're not carrying a phone and at least trying to do stuff with it, as a journalist, you're probably going to get left behind, I think, really soon. Question. Yes, go ahead. Quick question, quick answers. Yes, please.
Musing, I'm a freelance writer. I have a question on both ends of the stick. Does it make the news organizations vulnerable? Because now you have a lot of people who can take pot shots and, I'm at a fire and so-and-so's not covering it,
Sure. In some sense, I think you're right, but in another sense, we're sort of opening up the tent and letting people in. So at the end of the day, as in the case of News 12, every single article that we now publish, we have a Facebook include. So people are now open to comment, and we're finding that getting those comments, and whether they're used as content or even pointing out things that we may not have known, as long as it's on our platform and it's within the right setting and the users and participants are getting a good experience, that's fine. But we have to let them in at this point. There is no option.
Oh, I agree with him. I mean,
Trolls and comments?
Well, you're going to get some of that. You're going to get the big risk, and it's something that all of our local editors and our regional editors deal with, are, let's say we have a story, and there's that 10% who, the Islanders, it's a perfect example, the Nassau Coliseum debate. We wrote a couple of stories, ran them in our Nassau patches, and of course you find 2 or 3 people who just go off the rails and start fighting on our websites and calling each other names and calling, they didn't call me names, but they called a couple other people on the staff names. And what do? We have to make a decision at that point whether or not to shut comments down. But we try to avoid that if at all possible, because debate is healthy. Insanity may not be healthy, but debate itself is a good thing.
Do you moderate those comments?
Yes, we moderate them. Our local editors moderate them, and then we'll jump in if there's a bigger issue. But we do have to moderate it to a certain.
There's a choice in moderation. Some organizations, there's people on both sides. If you moderate, you take responsibility for those comments. If you don't moderate, sometimes people turn to the community. And if you create a community that's strong enough, the community will do the moderating for you. But it is a leap of faith, and it's something that large media organizations may have to think 2 or 3 times. It's easy to have somebody there flagging, but if you can create, that's the dream. I might be a dreamer, but if you can create a community that's in it together.
That would be ideal, but what does happen sometimes, and why we do have to stop the insanity, is it would be kind of like if you walked into a bar and there was a bar fight. 2 people were throwing glasses at each other, smashing each other. You'd leave. That happens on the comment streams too. You see this and you go, you know what, I don't really want to be associated with this. So we need to keep it civil in order to get more people involved. And that logic has worked.
Some of it's just outright spam. Spam bots.
All right. So we've reached the end of it. Wouldn't it great to have these guys here? Don't you think we should try to find ways on Long Island to get journalists together with the community in real life? Yes. The virtual is great. And I'll see what I can do to kick that bucket down that can down the road. We'll see. It's certainly Touro. What do you guys? Round of applause for Touro first for lunch, if you mean it. And then for my brothers in journalism here, thank you for coming out, guys. Really do appreciate it. So we've got an afternoon of sessions. Let's head back that way, and we'll get started. And we've got a bunch, like 20 more people to go. Amazing.